I've helped one of my clients generate $70,000 in revenue, which keeps growing over time. And so in this video, I want to share 3 of the biggest lessons that I've learned during the process of building out this whole system for him. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first lesson I would argue is one of the most important lessons overall when it comes to marketing. And that is that the better that you understand your target market, the easier the sale will become. And here, I don't mean knowing your target market on a surface level, but instead actually knowing the pain points that your target market is experiencing. I'm referring to you being able to describe their pain in detail. And the best is, of course, if you can describe their pain better than they can do themselves. But I see many businesses starting at the wrong end here. And instead of focusing and actually showing that they understand the pain that their target customer is facing, they're jumping straight to the solution. So imagine you have 2 different scenarios, and close your eyes for this. Are your eyes closed? Okay, so imagine you are a 50-year-old man or a woman with back pain, and you scroll on your feed on Facebook. And so in the first scenario, the text in the ad says, "Pain-free living," or "We help you get rid of your pain." Now, how did that make you feel? Probably not that much, right? And the problem here is not necessarily that those claims are wrong, but they feel very generic. Like, it doesn't take that much to come up with text like that, right? And because of that, they don't make the person at the other side of the screen actually feel understood. And when someone doesn't feel understood, it is harder to sell them on your service. Now, if we take that approach that we just did, those very generic claims, and we compare it to these claims that we're going to get into now, scenario 2. So here, instead of leading with a solution such as "We help you get rid of your pain," we instead start with the pain. So that could, for example, be, are you tired of waking up stiff in the morning? Or do you have trouble getting into your car seat? Or maybe, are you tired of having to say no to friends when they ask you to go for a walk? Or maybe, have you tried treatments in the past that gave you relief for a few weeks, but didn't actually give you that long-term lasting effect? Because when someone hears that, not only will that most likely make them feel like the ad in and of itself is interesting, but also that, all right, this person actually gets it. This person understands the problems that I'm facing. And contrary to the other scenario that we just mentioned, the sale then becomes easier. And this is a huge part in why the campaigns that I run for the client that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, why they've worked so well. Because we don't just state what the solution is, but instead I've spent, hours upon hours actually digging deep into the pain points that the target market is experiencing. And then from that, we tailor the marketing material to actually talk to our specific target market in this case, and take them on the journey from the ad and then all the way until they actually book the consultation in this case. And once you do that properly, as in digging deep into the pain points that your target market is experiencing, the solution almost sells itself, because it will most likely feel like the natural next step for the person in your target market to take to actually solve the problem that they're experiencing. So that was lesson number 1. Now let's move into lesson number 2. Lesson number 2 is that building a proper follow-up system is one of the highest ROI activities that you can do. So you might ask yourself then, okay, well, what do you even mean by a proper follow-up system? Now, this is a combination between SMS automations, email automations, and calling your unconverted leads. So in other words, you could say that it is several different touch points to nurture the leads that you've got. And I actually went more in depth on this specific topic in one of my most recent videos, which I'll link in the description. And also the good thing here is that the more campaigns that you run, the more you'll build up what I like to call the lead bank. So what I mean by lead bank is basically that you have this long list of leads that you could reactivate in future campaigns. It could be a specific email campaign, it could be a short SMS campaign, or it could just be that you have them on your email list. You might send emails on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis just to provide them with value and keep your clinic at more or less at the top of their mind. And over time, build so much trust between you and them so that they might actually book a consultation or a specific treatment or whatever it is that you sell. And I actually want to touch on the topic of call calling your unconverted leads, because there are some information out there that suggests that if you're able to contact your lead within 60 seconds from when they became a lead to when you actually call them, you're 4 to 5 times more likely to close them. And with this specific client, when we didn't have a system dialed in for actually contacting all of these unconverted leads, yeah, there were weeks where we didn't contact those leads, and sometimes even over a month. I think the longest might have even been over 2 months. And we were still able to close some of these leads where it took a very long time in between when they became a lead and when we actually contacted them. And so this should tell you that there might be a lot of money on the table that you're simply leaving. And just for the record, since then, we've now adjusted. So we have a system where we contact leads on a more regular basis. Now, if you don't want to spend time calling all of these leads yourself, there are some other tools that you could use. For example, if you have staff, they might be able to call those leads. Or you could use AI solutions for this. Specifically, there is a tool called Your Atlas, which could actually call the leads, qualify the leads, and book them straight into your calendar. But I won't go too deep into that, but I just wanted to let you know that there are AI solutions for this as well. So all in all, lesson number 2, make sure that you have a proper follow-up system in place. So then we get to the last lesson number 3, and that is that your funnel matters a lot. So before getting into this, the funnel, what I mean when I say funnel is basically the customer journey. So in this case, at the start we have the ad, and at the end we have the booked consultation. And then after that, we can have the upsell for the treatments themselves. But we'll say like from the start, we have the ad, and the end is the booked consultation. And then in between the ad and the booked consultations, there are a lot of steps that the customer has to go through, right? So the start from the ad to the booked consultation, everything from there and in between, that's the funnel. And so when I first started running ads for this client, the setup was very simple, and looking back at it, it wasn't as effective as it could have been. So basically what we did was we ran ads, then people opted in, and then they were sent to an email sequence basically. So after they left their information, the email sequence basically started. And in the beginning, that actually worked. Like we actually got some results from that. So a few bookings came in and things were moving in the right direction. But over time, the results from that specific setup started to decline because people who clicked the ad and landed in the email sequence didn't move the way we wanted them to. There simply wasn't enough time to build trust, explain the offer properly, and handle potential objections that they might have. So here's where I made a change. Instead of sending them to an email sequence, we built specifically tailored landing pages that people got to after clicking the ad. So they landed on a landing page with a lead form, and when they had left their contact information in that form, they were sent to a sales page with a VSL, so a video sales letter that described a little bit more about what the consultation was about and what that specific treatment was about, and basically positioned the consultation as the next natural step in the process. And over time, we've refined this process even more by adding a lead magnet into the mix. And if that term is new for you, a lead magnet is basically like a free resource. So it could be a guide, it could be a specific software or whatever, but it's basically a free resource of some sort. Basically, you want to give the person that has landed on your page another reason for them to actually leave their contact information. So it gives people an easy first step to take, and we also get their contact information, which we can use to then call them and build the relationship before they take the step and actually book the consultation if they have more questions that they want answered before taking the step, booking the consultation. And the whole goal with building a proper funnel is that we want to build a predictable machine where we know that for every X amount of dollars that we put in, we get Y amount of dollars out. And when that foundation is there, then it is up to you as the clinic owner to choose whatever you want to do with that extra revenue. Maybe you're okay with being at that level, or maybe you want to hire an assistant that could help you do your services more effectively, or maybe even hire other practitioners that could do the same treatments that you can do. And then from there, basically keep expanding and take over the world. And so to kind of sum up this point, pretty much anybody can launch ads, but few are willing to take a step back and analyze patterns and then adjust accordingly. Because ads isn't something that you set up once and then just let it run for forever. It is something that you need to monitor and that you need to adjust if you want to keep getting great results from ads. So that was 3 of the biggest lessons that I've learned in building this system out for one of my clients. Use these lessons for your clinic, and in doing so, improving your client acquisition and consequently increasing your revenue. And if you want help implementing a profitable and a scalable system using paid ads and AI automations for your business, DM me the word YouTube on Instagram and I'll get in touch with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.